I've got some notes here. This is in regards to Jill Stein in the presidential race for candidacy for president. She is proposing a power to the people plan, and I just had a few questions and a couple ideas concerning why are we not voting for Jill Stein? Why are the votes and the popular vote, the popular idea, not going towards Jill Stein or towards anyone else outside of two candidates, major candidates that don't seem to differentiate where it really would be set evenly across through for everyone. Um, that's mostly what I'm looking at right now, just based on it shouldn't be two major candidates and they're not really a draw to the people. So I wanted to read a few notes and look at this Jill Stein plan I got right here. And it's called Key Points of the Power to the People plan. A Green New Deal. It's about creating millions of jobs of renewable energy by 2030, giving out jobs as a right. Definitely see that as a major selling point because mostly anything that's going to go into largely an overly funded candidate, it's going to disposition jobs, unfortunately. And it's kind of what would be like a non adjustment, like something that they didn't do on purpose, but it would be something that would be done. I'm gonna look into that real quick. Yeah, it would be inadvertently done, and that's basically the mistake that comes across with the competition. Ending poverty, guaranteeing economic human rights, including access to food, water, housing, and utilities, with effective anti poverty programs to ensure every American a life of dignity. Healthcare, again, education for the most part. That's going to be the probably largest selling point. And then in details, it's about abolishing student debt, and this debt is to the past last generation of Americans that got debt and then are ended up having to negotiate either the amount of the cost of living or the living wage in within that debt. Then see the economy, $15 minimum wage, those big banks that are oversized already that are critically draining resources and draining people, breaking those banks up properly, and let's see, democrat democratize the Federal Reserve. And then this is a huge point: reject gentrification as a model of economic development, and that means nourishing already existing communities and not splitting them or making those communities part with another side of the community, keeping those communities together and growing those communities up. Make Wall Street, make these corporations, and make these overly large entities pay their taxes and pay the rightful share of taxes, and create a democratically run public banks and utilities, replace corporate trade agreements with fair trade, very important. And then here we got the big thing is protecting the earth, global treaty, climate change, putting more efforts, more research, more conversation, and more focus into energy resources. It says and destructive energy extraction, everything associated with the planet, everything associated with more learning and education also needs to be focusing within that realm for planet studies and planet protection to get better and better at it. It should be that should always have been there. It that always needs to continue. It says protect public lands, water supplies, biological diversity, parks and pollinators. Label GMOs. Put a moratorium on GMOs and pesticides until they are proven they've proven themselves in some way. And that's going to protect the rights of future generations. Racial justice now, old but still new in anything that's that's singling out any type of group and making them at a loss because of nothing. And that's pretty much what's important. Freedom and equality, women's rights, keep that a topic, bring those up higher. LGBT people, from discrimination, defend indigenous rights, very important, and lands, and creating a welcoming path to citizenship for immigrants. Protect the free internet, the way that we use the internet, and the services and everything that's growing within the internet that makes the internet accessible in what it is. Legalize marijuana, hemp, and treat substance abuse as a public health problem, as a problem that plagues everyone and not a criminal problem. Justice for all, restore constitutional rights, terminate unconstitutional surveillance, unwanted spying, cameras, tracking devices, those sorts of things, and persecution of government and media whistleblowers. Big point. It means paying someone off to show that to make a story up that's going to get you through to something that's going to basically creating a loss in one department to falsely give you a gain. Abolish secret kill lists, close Guantanamo, and repeal infinite detention without charge or trial. Peace and human rights. Establish a foreign policy based on diplomacy, international law, and human rights. End the wars and drone attacks. Cut military spending by at least 50%. And close the 700 foreign military bases that are turning our republic into a bankrupt, basically costing us everything. Stop U.S. support and arms sales to human rights abusers, and lead on global nuclear disarmament. Yeah, lead on that fact of no nukes. Empower the people. Abolish corporate personhood. Protect voters' rights by establishing a constitutional right to vote throughout. Enact electoral reforms that break the big money stranglehold and create truly representative democracy. Public campaign financing, ranked choice voting, proportional representation, and open debates about whatever is important or anything that's important. And these are just some notes, and they're based off of Jill Stein's campaign and Jill Stein in this series for president. And it's not just about that one person, it's about their overall message and the team and the infrastructure they will be willing to bring in that's going to give more of an even share and not create such a big drop off between the next person and the person here, whether it's the candidates in running or it's the businesses in their action or it's taxes or it's government aid or it's education or it's racial justices or any of those things I just spoke about. I wanted to make sure and put some notes out there and do this video because I'm not hearing a lot about Jill Stein, and I've just recently found out more information, even though I did hear about the name. I'm finding out the details and other information about what makes Jill Stein the person that she is and what makes the campaign what it is, more importantly, because I think that's what really got Bernie Sanders in the bad position or the unnecessary position of what happened with him is the campaign and everything about what was so important was solely focused on him, and they did whatever they could to mess him up and to sabotage his campaign, even through cheating and even through the lying, and even while Hillary is still constantly being investigated and has the FBI as a federal investigation on her, and knowingly that there's probably going to be more and other things that weren't found out or weren't looked up, and as a sort of just a practice of just lying about basic things and doing underhanded things just to be lying. And it sucks, but that was the problem for Bernie Sanders, and I wanted to make this point to show the campaign and show the message of the overall purpose that Jill Stein and Jill Stein's campaign has, and why are we not voting for Jill Stein? Why is Jill Stein not a largely important candidate? Let me know how you feel about it and what you see out of the even sides and what drops off between the candidates. And I'd love to hear it. Thanks for watching. Peace.